Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's Thought for the Day, January the 5th. The title of today's thought is, But God Remembered. In Genesis, we have been reading the account of the flood that wiped out all the descendants of Adam and Eve, except Noah, his wife, 3 sons, and their wives. Archaeologists have come across many ancient records of other nations with memories of a massive flood. Although these accounts are embellished with lots of fanciful features. Both Jesus in Luke 17 verse 27 and Peter in the 1 of Peter 3 verse 20 refer to the flood as an historic fact and as a lesson of God acting as a result of total ungodliness. The end of Genesis chapter 7 tells how the waters prevailed on the earth for 150 days, blotting out all life and covering all the mountains. The next chapter, chapter 8, begins in an odd way in most Bibles. We read, But God remembered Noah and all the beasts. It should not be understood as meaning God had forgotten them and then suddenly remembered them. We humans sometimes do that. It's a translation of the same Hebrew word as we read 2 days ago in the Psalms. What is man that you are mindful of him? We read in Psalm 8 verse 4. We read in Malachi last week how God has written a book of remembrance. Chapters 3 verse 16. Those whom he bears in mind. He is the Creator who sees and knows all things. How utterly wonderful to have the Creator bear you in mind. Thus when Noah is again on dry land, God makes a covenant with him that never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. Chapter 9 verse 9. The rainbow is the sign to confirm this covenant. And of course, the earth was not destroyed, only the people. The letter to the Hebrews praises Noah for his faith, chapter 11, verse 7. We read, By faith, Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen, in reverent fear constructed an ark for the saving of his household, and became an heir of the righteousness that comes by faith. Faith, you see, is an active principle that causes you to do things. Jesus warns us that conditions on the earth, when he is about to return, will be like they were in Noah's day and in Lot's day, when they were eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building. Luke 17 verse 28. There is nothing wrong with some of those things, but this is what they totally focused on. Then Jesus says, remember Lot's wife. Be mindful of what happened to her, Genesis 19 verse 26, when she was reluctant to leave that way of life. Jesus then comments in Luke 17 verse 33, Whosoever seeks to preserve his life will lose it, but whosoever loses his life will keep it. Now how do we understand that? Well, Lot had lost all that he had, and so did Noah. He did not seek to preserve that way of life. He put no value on it at all. Things which have everlasting value must be in the forefront of our minds. The way we live our lives will show this. Thank you for joining us for today's Thought for the Day. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, perhaps share it with some of your friends who you feel might benefit from it. Remember, as you go about your day today, do all to the glory of God, acknowledging that the antidote to sin is not just not to sin, but to do good. Thank you, and God bless.